Now the McGraw Show continues on the Big 550 KTRS.
Missouri State Senator Will Kraus joins us. State Senator, welcome to Big 550 KTRS.
Good morning.
You want to send back federal funds designated for unemployment insurance and public schools to the tune of both. My guesstimation is about $280 million. You want to send it back to Washington, D.C. Why is that?
Well, number one, I don't believe in using one-time money on ongoing budget items, and that's what the school money is for. Number two, 99 weeks is too long to be on unemployment. I think that if anybody hires people, they look at how long people are not working, and to be out unemployed for almost 2 years is ridiculous. Both situations to send the federal government a message that you're spending too much money and you shouldn't be sending all this money to the states.
So if you're on unemployment for, say, 80 weeks, what are you telling people? They should have gotten a job by now?
I think that personal responsibility, I think that if I'm going to hire somebody, I would look at somebody that goes out and has the energy to go get a job that may not be the perfect job, and I would encourage them to go out and find a job that may not meet their qualifications, may not meet their income threshold that they need to at least be back in the workforce.
Gotcha. So with the one-time funds, you're going to have to cut $180 million more out of the education budget, right? Because you're rejecting this federal funds.
I believe we should prioritize. I think education is important. I do not believe we need to cut education. What I believe we should be doing is talk about tax credit reform. We're losing about $500 to $600 million each year in tax credits. Tax credits are not bad all in themselves, but in a time where we're dealing with budget cuts in every part of the budget, to say that these tax credits are unapproachable and we shouldn't be reforming them is wrong, and I think that that's where we should be focused in getting our budget in the state back in order and prioritizing.
State Senator Will Kraus, our guest. Hey, a lot of people are talking about tax cut or tax credit reform, and they forget all about TIFs, which gives the biggest companies in the world all sorts of tax credits. You in favor of doing away with TIF financing? I
think that there's some definite reform that needs to be done in that arena to make sure that the taxpayer dollars are better used. I don't believe in TIFs for retail. Retail follows houses, but if you need a TIF to bring in more jobs, I could probably look at that depending on what the deal was.
So I'm confused. If Walmart wants a TIF to a local community, would you be in favor of giving Walmart that TIF?
Walmart's retail, and retail follows households, so no.
So you would be against all sorts of Walmart getting any type of TIFs?
Correct.
What about like Ford got that big TIF from Governor Nixon? Would you be in favor of that?
I voted against that. We had a special session for that, and I voted against that. I believe that Ford is here. I think that there's things we could have done to keep Ford here, but that bill was the wrong time at the wrong place, and it was geared towards one business. Historic
tax credits that have done so much to revitalize Washington Avenue, including my house. Are you in favor of those?
I think
historical tax credits.
Yeah, I think that they, in general, are good tax credits. However, I don't believe that we need to be at the level we are right now. We spend over $160 million each year on historic tax credits. When everything else is taking a hit in our budget, we should bring that down a little bit in times where the economy is rough. And then if the economy turns around and we decide that that's a good use of money, then we can spend more money later on. But right now, we need to bring it back. We need to reduce the amount we're spending on historic tax credits.
What about all these people who are getting a free ride on my back for Medicare and Medicaid through the state? Are you in favor of cutting some of that and putting these people back to work?
I am for looking at ways to reduce that population. That is the fastest growing part of our budget, and we need to make sure that we've taken care of those that cannot take care of themselves, but able-bodied adults need to work.
Well, I don't know. Where did you come down on this autism bill recently that was, I guess, passed last legislation that forces insurance companies to cover kids who have autism?
I supported that. Autism a growing situation in the state of Missouri, and many of those kids, the insurance companies are basically saying we don't want them because they cost too much money. But then it's kind of like picking and choosing as the insurance companies want to do to insure those that really don't need the insurance, but not insure those that need the assistance.
Insurance companies call that a pre-existing condition. Would you be in favor of doing away with insurance companies using that clause, a pre-existing condition, and then rejecting people?
Yes.
You would be. That'd be great, because then I would drop my insurance tomorrow, and then when I get cancer, then I just start buying insurance then.
That's a great point.
Well, this whole system would collapse if we did away with pre-existing conditions.
Well, in some certain situations, you're exactly right. There's I need to put some more thought into that.
Yeah, because clearly you can't have one without the other. You can't do away with pre-existing conditions. The whole system would collapse. Will Kraus, our guest, let me ask you this question. This money you're rejecting because of unemployment and because of education that you're rejecting from the federal government, that's not going to go back to pay off the deficit. That's just going to go to another state for jobless claims and for education. You understand that?
I do.
And even though some will call it pork, some will call it whatever, you would rather not do it and have some other state get those tax dollars.
Well, we need to start sending messages to Washington that they need to start being more responsible. Our deficit continues to grow, and if we continue to send resolutions like we did last year that says, federal government balance your budget, but yet give me my $86 million for extension of unemployment benefits. Oh, by the way, we'll take all this one-time stimulus money. We're sending the wrong message that, hey, we don't really want you to balance your budget. We're just politically saying that so that we can look good back home. So
you're a big champion then of Senator McCaskill and her rejection of pork, as opposed to Senator Blunt, who wants to bring back as much pork as possible.
Yes. I will not believe in that philosophy. I believe that we should be fiscal responsible, and pork doesn't necessarily the best use of taxpayer dollars.
State Senator,
we all pay for that.
Sure. Are you coming out? Are you endorsing Senator McCaskill this go around?
Senator McCaskill supported a couple things that I couldn't support. Number one, the healthcare legislation that went on in Washington, and the cap and trade legislation that went on in Washington. Cap and trade would be devastating for the Midwest. I think she's wrong on those two issues. I think that she understands Missouri, and I think she's a great political person and understands that she needs to be fiscal responsible for Missouri, and that's what she's going to do to try to get the votes. And I disagree with her on the other things, so absolutely not. I am not endorsing Claire McCaskill. Senator
Will Kraus, the yes or no question, are you in favor of overturning Prop B, the puppy mill law?
There's things that I would support changing on it. The voters in my district voted significantly for supportive of the puppy mill bill. So I think that there are restrictions that need to be put on. So
you would be in favor of overturning the will of the people?
No, I'm not in favor of overturning the will of the people. I'm in favor of changing certain provisions in Prop B to make it constitutional.
We've got to leave it there. State Senator Will Kraus, always a pleasure. Thanks. KTRS St. Louis, it's 8 o'clock.